Hello and welcome to the presentation of Work in Progress project on the theme of female autonomy and its various aspects and multitude of voices through the use of paradoxical thinking methodology. This project has been initiated and is performed by Justyna Cwojdzinska, devised by Justyna Cwojdzinska and Aleksandra Rosiak, and directed by Aleksandra Rosiak. The presentation will be followed by a discussion with the creators and Dr. Anca Minescu. This is the first phase of the research and development, during which we are developing characters of 5 women from various timelines, places, generations, and of various ages and professions. Each female voice has a distinct attitude to the subject of female autonomy, and quite often these voices are in opposition to each other. We are trying to find a common ground and a space for these voices to convene. The next stage of the project would be developing and writing a script for a stage show. Thank you and enjoy.
Zapraszamy na pokaz pracy w toku na temat autonomii kobiet i jej różnych aspektów oraz wielorakości głosów poprzez zastosowanie metodologii paradoksalnego myślenia. Projekt ten został zainicjowany i wykonany przez Justynę Cwodzińską, opracowany przez Justynę Cwodzińską i Aleksandrę Rosiak w reżyserii Aleksandry Rosiak. Po prezentacji odbędzie się dyskusja z twórczyniami i dr Ancą Minescu. Jest to pierwsza faza badań i pracy nad projektem, podczas której przedstawiamy postaci 5 kobiet pochodzących z różnych epok, miejsc, pokoleń i zawodów. Każdy kobiecy głos ma wyraźny związek z tematem kobiecej autonomii i często są to głosy przeciwstawne. Staramy się znaleźć wspólną płaszczyznę i przestrzeń, aby te głosy mogły zaistnieć w jednym miejscu. Kolejnym etapem projektu będzie opracowanie i napisanie scenariusza do spektaklu teatralnego. Zapraszamy.
Czy słyszałaś takie słowo cnota?
Słyszałam coś. Słyszałam. Chyba nie do końca jestem pewna, ale no słyszałam.
Czy cnota jest w środku czy na zewnątrz?
No ja myślę, że tak bardziej w środku, że no to chodzi o tak, to chodzi o to, co masz tu raczej niż tak na zewnątrz.
Czy myślisz, że masz cnotę?
Ja myślę, że każdy ma. I no ja chyba też mam.
Czy słyszałaś takie słowo niewiasta?
No tak, no niewiasta to no Matka Boska i tak, słyszałam niewiastę jako Matka Maria Panna, Matka Boska.
Jakie cechy miała Maryja?
No, ja się uczyłam i było tak. Święta Maryjo, módl się za nami. Święta Boża Rodzicielko, módl się za nami. Święta Panno nad Pannami, módl się za nami. Matko Chrystusowa, Matko Kościoła, Matko Miłosierdzia, Matko Łaski Bożej, Matko Nadziei, Matko Nieskalana, Matko Dziewicza, Matko Nienaruszona, Matko Najmilsza. No i tam jeszcze jest jeszcze dużo, ale mam mówić, to tam jeszcze jest ich dużo. Ale no, to jest to dla mnie, no.
Czy jest jakaś cecha, która Ci się w niej podoba?
No, była wybranką, była jedyna. No, taka specjalna, nie?
Czy chciałabyś być taka jak Maryja?
No, każdy chciałby być wybranką. i tą jedyną. Ale jak tak myślę, Matko bolesna, Matko cichaj, to chyba nie do końca bym tak wszystko chciała. Chyba nie do końca bym te wszystkie rzeczy, którymi ją nazywamy, chciała mieć, bo ja jednak lubię, że mogę powiedzieć to, co myślę, że mogę robić to, co chcę. No i nie muszę być taka właśnie spokojna, cichutka. No, tak chyba.
Kim chciałabyś zostać, kiedy dorośniesz?
To ja tak mam wiele pomysłów i te pomysły mi się ciągle zmieniają, ale jest kilka takich, co są dla mnie ważne i mam jeszcze trochę czasu, żeby podjąć decyzję, bo muszę się teraz jednak ciągle skupić na nauce, ale to tak bym bardzo chciała na przykład być tą gwiazdą tego TikToka i tak takie robić, takie live'y robić i żeby tak mieć dużo followersów i żeby mnie wszyscy znali, lubili. No, albo bym chciała, w telewizji też bym chciała być taką celebrytką i też mogłabym na przykład robić to, co moja mama. Uwielbiam pracować z włosami, bardzo lubię robić fryzurę i bawić się włosami i bardzo bym chciała, żeby na przykład jak przychodzą do mnie panie, to potem wychodzą takie zadowolone i szczęśliwe i tak się dobrze ze sobą czują i ja bym też mogła tak robić, ale myślę, że jeszcze trochę będę miała czasu.
Jakie cechy kobiety są ważne według Ciebie?
No ja myślę, że ważne jest to, żeby móc robić w życiu to, co się lubi i to, co się chce robić. I żeby dawać ludziom radość, żeby robić to, co się chce. Nie? To, co się chce. Ja bym chciała robić to, co bym ja chciała robić.
What is female autonomy for you?
Well, female autonomy is the right for women to do and choose in life what they really want, so that no state, no laws make her do what they want her to do, but she is allowed to make informed choices, and she's allowed to have a career, and she's allowed to be heard and be taken as a human rather than female. So I believe the choice, the fact that you have a choice and that it makes you who you are, and nobody will tell you which way to go or what to do with either your body or with your career, whichever career you choose, the right to choose.
Do you think this is still a relevant discussion subject?
It is very much so, because I don't think any of the rights are guaranteed nowadays. When we look at the environment around us, are we really truly able to say that there is something set in stone? I don't think so. And it's the same with the female rights. Before, it was all about having right and having access to a career and to any job, to be able to be a professional rather than just stay-at-home mom. Now we're looking at a different perspective. We're looking at equal pay. We're looking at women not from the bodily image, but from her input, skills, abilities, education. And definitely there's still much to be done.
So what is female autonomy in this current time? What does it mean?
Well, I think in current time, it's all about not only female autonomy, but autonomy altogether. And it's about having the right to make your own decisions without being judged for it, or without being told which way to go, or which is right or which is wrong, or what should you do or shouldn't. Obviously, all within the certain values that we carry. But still, no human should be forced into anything that doesn't allow freedom.
What do you think about the importance of body image and looks in women's lives?
Body image has always been kind of a situation or body image has been an issue for some women. And I think in current times, it has become more of a discussion. But also the fashion and the industry has driven it to the extreme, where you no longer have healthy bodies. You'd rather have, out of touch image that people want to follow, which is unrealistic on its own. So I think we put too much pressure on the body image nowadays. I think it's just going to the extreme. I think we need to be more grounded in the way that human body is and what human body is, not only female body, but generally. We just want to be happy, aren't we? So if you're constantly on the verge because you're going towards a certain goal, I don't believe that can make you happy.
Why did you choose such an unrealistic body type for your toy?
Well, first of all, when I was designing my doll, I was designing a doll with female features, with breasts. I was in a need of my daughter playing with realistic doll rather than something that it does not match reality. And the features were a vehicle for then playing with profession and allowing the doll choose whatever she wanted, because she had a brilliant career. So I wanted my daughter to see herself not only as a female that needs to be stuck at home the moment she finishes her education because she needs to bear children, but she's able to have the life of her choice. And to do that, I wanted to imprint it in her from her childhood, that she is allowed to do it. And I wasn't thinking about the dimensions of the doll. First of all, I wasn't thinking that it would become such a success and influence all over the world, and that it will become an issue, and that people will take it and make an issue out of it. It was just a doll, and I think a doll cannot make anybody think differently about themselves. I think there is a bit bigger debate here than that.
Do you think of yourself as a feminist?
Well, all my life I have devoted to work for women and with women. And in the company that I have set up, it was all about female trying to get in. I was the first CEO. I was the first one to drive it in that direction. And women had no place in business at that time, you must remember. No place. You were not heard, you were invisible. And even if you were there, what is it that you are to tell me? So it took me many years to get there where I wanted to get. And then employ more women and give women chances. Trust in them, trust that there is so much they can give that no man can. And then my design to allow women feel women all the time, even though they might have lost their breast, it's all about women. So from that perspective, I have always been working for women, and I am a feminist.
Czym jest dla Pani autonomia kobiety?
No proszę Pani, autonomia kobiety, ja nie wiem, czy ja będę rozmawiać tutaj o autonomii kobiety, bo kobiety, nie kobiety, kobiety czy faceta, no to nie ma znaczenia, jest autonomia człowieka, tak? I gwarantuje nam to konstytucja, proszę Pani. Ja bym mogła tutaj przecytować Pani kilka prawda, fragmentów konstytucji, to może wtedy po prostu by to się zrobiło bardzo jasne, tak? Natomiast definitywnie autonomia to jest coś, co gwarantuje nam konstytucja, więc w ogóle na ten temat nie powinno być dyskusji.
Czy to znaczy, że kobieta ma całkowitą kontrolę nad swoim ciałem?
No wie Pani, ja to też bym chciała mieć kontrolę nad swoim ciałem. No czasami nie wszystko kontroluję, tak? Czasami coś mi się wymsknie tu czy tam. Wie Pani, nie zawsze jestem z tego powodu dumna, ale się tak dzieje. No. Kontrolę mieć, czy ja mogę powiedzieć, czy człowiek może powiedzieć, że ma kontrolę nad swoim ciałem? No chyba nie do końca. Natomiast te inne aspekty, no to definitywnie, no to my decydujemy, prawdaż? Z jednej strony, co się dzieje, ale czy do końca mamy na to wpływ? No nie byłabym taka pewna.
Czy osoba, która jest homoseksualna, też ma taką autonomię według konstytucji?
No wie Pani co, wchodzimy tutaj na taki temat, że to się w głowie nie mieści. I ja powiem jeszcze raz i po raz kolejny. Dla mnie homoseksualizm to jest zwyrodnienie zupełne. To nie ma nic wspólnego z człowiekiem, proszę Pani, bo tam nie mamy do czynienia z uczuciami ludzkimi, wie Pani. To nie są ludzkie uczucia. Tam nie można mówić, proszę Pani, o miłości. To nie ma w ogóle nic wspólnego z miłością. Tam jest chuć, tam jest ten zew naturalny, tam jest po prostu... Tego nie można nazwać, to się wymyka wszystkim, proszę Pani, zasadom i wszystkim, co gwarantuje nam konstytucja. Tu nie rozmawiamy, to jest jakiś trend, to są jakieś lobby, to są jakieś dziwne rzeczy i ja, proszę Pani, nie chcę tego oglądać. I ja mam do tego prawo, tak? Ja jako człowiek nie chcę tego oglądać.
Czy uważa Pani, że dziewczynki powinny być uczone o cnotach niewieścich?
Ależ oczywiście. To jest podstawa. To jest to, w którym kierunku Polska powinna iść. To jest podstawa jakiejkolwiek edukacji. Jeżeli te dziewczynki z tym mlekiem matki będą wysysać, do czego zostały stworzone, jeżeli te dziewczynki będą czuć i wiedzieć, co to znaczy mieć cnotę i czym są te cnoty i być niewiastą, prawdziwego zdarzenia niewiastą, proszę Pani, tego trzeba uczyć. To jest absolutna podstawa, żeby nasze społeczeństwo przetrwało. Zobaczcie, co się teraz dzieje do cholery jasnej. Wszystkie chcą mieć wielkie kariery, każda chce mieć fantastyczne auto, wyglądać tak czy siak, jeździć tak. A co z rodziną, ja się pytam, przepraszam bardzo. Co z tymi mężczyznami, przy których trzeba stać i ich wspierać? Co z naszym społeczeństwem, który za 20-30 lat nie będzie miało z czego żyć, bo kto będzie płacił moją lub Pani emeryturę? Pani pomyślała na ten temat? To trzeba wychowywać pokolenia, które będą to robić, bo my musimy być bezpieczni.
Jak to się odnosi do Pani kariery i życia osobistego?
No teraz to już nie wytrzymam. Taka dowcipska jesteś, a przecież to jest moja sprawa, co ja robię ze swoim życiem osobistym. To jest moja sprawa, w jaki sposób ja prowadzę swoje życie. Mam ochotę, to mam ochotę. Chcę mieć, to chcę. Nie chcę, to nie chcę. I nikt mnie będzie wchodził, mnie rozliczał, czy ja mam karierę, czy ja nie mam, czy ja mam dzieci, czy nie mam, czy mam męża, czy nie mam, czy ja mam partnera, nie partnerkę. To jest moja osobista sprawa i nikomu do tego. Jeszcze ktoś będzie mi nosa tam wrzucał. Kto to widział?
Czy uważa się Pani za feministkę?
O, pani z tym słowem uważa. To jest bardzo niebezpieczne dzisiaj słowo. Te krzykaczki, które tak krzyczą z tego telewizora, to jest tak, jak ja bym teraz po prostu widziała tutaj jedną, drugą, trzecią, czwartą, która się po prostu drze. Dajcie mi to, dajcie mi tamto, ja mogę to, ja mogę tamto, mam prawo do tego, mam prawo do tamtego. Wszystko one teraz chcą. A zapomniały o podstawowych obowiązkach kobiety, którymi jest właśnie to, do czego zostały kobiety stworzone, tak? Do przekazania dalej i nasienia i bycie po prostu podtrzymującą gatunek. A te feministki to im się w głowach poprzewracało. Im się kompletnie w głowach poprzewracało. I wydaje im się, że krzykiem coś w ogóle zwariują. Przecież to nie ma nic wspólnego w ogóle z jakimikolwiek prawami. To są krzykaczki, które potrzebują tylko uwagi i czasu telewizyjnego. Tyle pani powiem.
Why did you choose this job?
Well, because I was good at it. I was very good at what I was doing, and I was a perfect fit for the kind of job and offer. So I didn't really think about it. They have chosen me.
What does female autonomy mean to you?
Well, autonomy is predominantly the right to remain who you are and have your rights guaranteed and preserved. And as much as being able to look after yourself, to look after people around you, people you either work with or you live with. Yeah.
What do you think about the role of women in colonizing space?
I think women are not really colonizers. I think women are preservers. And it is the man nihilistic, egoistic approach that wish to always invade, conquer, colonize, and get it all in one and more and more and more, never stop, always greedy. I think women are the balancing act there, trying to stop them, protect them from destruction that they are forcing on themselves by wanting that much. And also, when we think about the balance, it's not an easy act, because we always will be taken as not worth to listen to.
Did you think about the purpose of your job when you took it?
Well, I did not really think about the purpose rather than the task that I was chosen for. It only came after, when I started asking questions and looking into the bigger picture rather than just the here and now. And I think it has changed a lot. I think it has changed a lot with time.
you think about the creature and what should be done about it?
You see, when I first encountered it, it was like looking at somebody that has their own autonomy, their autonomy and freedom that is endangered. And what it was two individuals looking at each other and seeing who's gonna win, which power will take over. And I think it has as much of a right to be there as I was. But at the same time, if somebody enters my ground, I will fight to protect mine. And I will fight to protect my people. And this is only natural.
Co myślisz o cnotach niewieścich?
No wiesz, cnoty niewieście to teraz są tak na agendzie wszędzie. Wszyscy o tym mówią, wszyscy gadają. Jest to totalnie wymyślony twór. Totalnie wymyślony na potrzeby po prostu obecnych działań. Wyssane z palca i zupełnie odcięte od rzeczywistości jeszcze XXI wieku. Ja tego nie kupuję. I na pewno się pod tym nie podpiszę. To nie ja.
A co myślisz o słowie niewiasta?
Niewiasta, wiasta, nie wie, wiasta to... Wiesz, to jest taki już anachronizm. To już jest coś, co praktycznie musimy się bardzo mocno zastanowić, co to w ogóle jest. I skąd to się wzięło i dlaczego już teraz tak nie używamy tego słowa. No bo skoro by było takie nasze, czyli dzisiejsze, czyli z naszej ery, no to by chyba wszyscy wiedzieli, co to jest. Więc jak ja się mam nad tym zastanawiać, to od razu widzę, że nie, dzięki, nie ta era.
Jakie cechy trzeba mieć jako kobieta, żeby być raperką?
No, przede wszystkim musisz mieć dużo siły takiej męskiej, wiesz, i takiego przebicia, bo no, to jest taki męski świat. Więc jeszcze wchodząc tam z perspektywy raperki, to już w ogóle jest, słuchaj, no niekoniecznie Cię wezmą w to, nie? Bo no, nie wyglądasz tak samo, nie? Jeszcze inaczej mówisz. Zabiera trochę czasu, żeby tam się przebić, żeby w ogóle nie brali Cię za ciało, tylko też za to, co masz do powiedzenia. No, świat dość trudny, ale da się to zrobić. Da się to zrobić. Niestety musisz bardzo ciężko pracować na to, żeby najpierw tam wejść, a potem jeszcze zostać sobą.
Co myślisz o wzorcu ciała w hip-hopie?
Wiesz, hip-hop jest dość specyficzny i tam, no to przede wszystkim masz piękne laski, które są tylko i wyłącznie ciałem. Nie znajdziesz tam kobiety, która ma Ci coś ciekawego do powiedzenia, bo one są tylko ciałem i mają tylko tak, a nie inaczej się wyginać, to i to wywoływać, ok? I są zazwyczaj przedmiotem do dyskusji, tudzież chęci, chuci i innych rzeczy, po prostu pewnego rodzaju kwiatek w tabakierze. I teraz wyobraź sobie być w takim świecie i być tak postrzeganym, no niełatwo, niełatwo.
Co dla Ciebie znaczy kobieca autonomia?
Wiesz, myślę, że my nie powinniśmy w ogóle rozmawiać o kobiecej autonomii, ponieważ Dlaczego mamy robić różnicę między kobiecą autonomią a męską autonomią? Dlaczego o męskiej autonomii nie rozmawiamy? To znaczy, że ona jest tak zagwarantowana, że nie trzeba w ogóle rozmawiać, a musimy rozmawiać o kobiecej. To w tym wypadku znaczy, że ona jest zagrożona, skoro trzeba o tym w ogóle rozmawiać. Wydaje mi się, że powinniśmy zejść do podstaw pod tytułem ludzka autonomia. Autonomia każdego człowieka, nie tylko kobiety. Ponieważ kobieta też jest człowiekiem. Tak samo jak ten facet. I tak samo jak żadne prawa w dzisiejszym świecie, jak widzimy, nie są gwarantowane. I tak jak bardzo mocno widzimy, że to, o co było walczone tyle lat temu, nagle staje się zupełnie nieaktualne i wracamy do jakichś praktyk, które naprawdę, możemy powiedzieć, mogą sięgać w niektórych wypadkach średniowiecza. I myśleniu o drugim człowieku w taki sposób, o drugim człowieku, już nie będę mówić o kobiecie czy mężczyźnie, o drugim człowieku, to dla mnie tu jest podstawowy problem. W nazewnictwie i w dzieleniu.
Czy uważasz się za feministkę?
Wiesz co? Uważam, że na potrzeby dzisiejszego świata to słowo trzeba było zmienić, bo ono ma za duże konotacje z tym wszystkim, co było kiedyś, co obecnie jest różnorako odbierane. Mi się feminizm kojarzy z takimi po prostu latami 60., 70., kobiety na traktory i tak dalej, wtedy kiedy one musiały krzyczeć, żeby w ogóle ktoś zechciał je usłuchać, dlatego musiały wchodzić na te traktory, dlatego musiały krzyczeć, bo przecież nikt by ich nigdy nie wysłuchał. Teraz to się wszystko zmieniło, mamy inne czasy i dlatego potrzeba nam również zmienić definicję. O czym my mówimy, tak? Feminizm. Powinniśmy tak naprawdę powiedzieć, że każda kobieta powinna być feministką i każdy mężczyzna powinien być feministą, bo mamy tutaj do czynienia nie tylko z prawami kobiet, ale z prawami człowieka. Więc zmieniamy definicję, bo mamy do czynienia z prawami człowieka.
Hi, everybody. This is part 2 of our project, which is a discussion with lovely guests that are with us here today. And that is Aleksandra Rosiak, a director, and Dr. Anca Minescu, our brain behind the thinking about the project. So this project is very important to say. This project was funded by Arts Council Ireland as part of Agility Award. And what you have just seen, it's a work in progress. So this is something that we have come up with at this stage. And we just want to tell you a little bit more what was going on there, why, and where do we want to take it. So I might start with Alex maybe first to say a few words about the whole process. How did we come up with that process and what was going on there? And then we'll pass on to Anca to go in depth with the methodology.
Yeah, so Justyna approached me about this and she really wanted to work on a theme of female autonomy, which is a really huge subject, obviously, and you know, I myself have studied some gender studies for 2 years, so I kind of had in my head all these massive books that we're going to have to go through now, and I have to go back to, you know, reading feminist theory, and it's all really, really interesting and very, very good, but it's not really theatrical. So so to actually do research for stage, you have to be on stage in a way, you know, you have to go on stage and you have to start trying out things and working live. So the process came about when we started talking about different women and what really female autonomy means to us and means to our, you know, friends, female friends or family. And from then we started thinking maybe we should look at different people or people that we know from pop culture or icons or even fictional figures and what they represent within that female autonomy theme. And from then on, Justyna and Anca started talking about maybe working with paradoxical thinking methodology to I suppose introduce those different viewpoints and to kind of be able to confront those voices a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the start of it. Yeah, that's how we ended up at this point and where we got those voices, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'll just catch the ball from you and continue with the paradoxical thinking, because I think that in many ways, no matter what the topic is, so in your case, it is female autonomy, and it is very much a thing that appears to concern women, right? But actually, any topic we talk about concerns the whole society, and I suppose the problem we have as a society is that we only listen to the voices that are in our little echo chamber, right? So you know, if you attribute something to a feminist and you're not a feminist, you'd stop listening to it. Or if you think it's about men and you're a woman, you might not listen to it. But in reality, I suppose the big challenge for us psychologists and, you know, sociologists in general, people who care about the world as much as for you guys who are the artists, right, is how do you get people to listen to the voices that they would not normally listen, right? So how do you get people to open up and to see the whole range of ideas? And paradoxical thinking is very powerful this way as a psychological confrontation method, because it makes you realize just how extreme some of the opinions are, right? And then you start questioning, once you realize that somebody says this, so extreme on this side, and another person so extreme on the other side, and you see this extremity of opinions, you start then questioning your own. And to me, the value and the beauty of your project is about getting people to see it all and question their own. Yeah, so you see it all in other people, and then you start thinking, but how did I come to believe this? How crucial is this belief? Whether it's this side or this side of the female autonomy debates, you know, how crucial is this to me, to who I am, or to how I live my life, right? And then, like we were discussing some other times, you know, what would make me change my mind, right? Or you know, you start to think about how did that person end up being so extreme on that end, and are they really that extreme? And I think that this is the kind of thing that I like in some of the voices that you've captured, that the same person sounds like two different people, right? Mm-hmm. Because they say one thing, but what they are, what they represent, the way they behave in reality is actually the opposite, right? And this paradoxical thinking puts us in that space where we just question a little bit more our beliefs, and we question their absolute nature. Yeah, so should it be set in stone? Is anything set in stone? Should we dedicate our lives to just go in this direction, or should we be able to capture the bigger range of opinions and voices? So that's why I suppose the paradoxical thinking is a useful method, especially on topics that are extremely divisive, because on those topics you usually have the pro and the con. You know, you have the people for and the people against, and none of them listen or talk to each other anymore. While I think the power of your piece is to actually show the complexity, the gray area, as well as the potential change, like the change of a little girl who doesn't know what she wants to be, but doesn't want to be the tick box exercise, to the other girl, the rapper, who ends up knowing exactly what she wants to be. So across your lifetime, you also have the choice to change and to adapt your opinions and to question them, right? So I think that your piece really captures that, you know, that there's not just one opinion or one and the opposite. It's actually a whole range. And the bigger question is, how did people end up believing in those things? Mm-hmm. And how did you end up believing in whatever you believe as the audience, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I suppose part of developing a piece for theater is asking those questions. Doesn't necessarily need to go into the actual piece, but part of giving those people a real, or those voices a real personas, is looking into what made them who they are, because actually at some point that will come out in either text or in drama. you know, it will come out why they are like they are, or why they say what they say. And it also the consequential thing of their opinions, especially if they're people in power. So if there are people in power and enforce those opinions on others, and those others are within the same, you know, within the same environment, right? How do we show them being aware of that? And I suppose, does that cause any change in them? Does that cause any thought in them when their, you know, actual beliefs cause other people to suffer, for example, for whatever?
And this is again another area, definitely in psychology, social psychology, you know, because these opinions matter a lot, right? So again, no matter about what the topic is, but people have beliefs that come to define them, and people need these, right? So there's this terminology, you know, you need the meaning in life. You need to know why you're living, you know, you need to make sense of your life along certain beliefs and certain opinions that are part of that, right? And I suppose that the big question is, okay, so we all have that freedom to choose what we believe in. However, this is also part of collective mobilization and of social movements. And this is how social movements start to develop, right? Because you gather a bunch of people who believe the same thing as you. And when you also have a political top-down power to choose, to change the constitution, to change the law, you know, and kind of in response to the social movement, that's when I think we have to be most critical about our opinions, you know, and to realize what you're doing. So rather than getting taken by the flow of a social movement or being the passive recipient of whoever is on top that pushes these opinions or these beliefs, you know, understand what is happening, right? So psychologically, I think is very much in our power, in our consciousness to be aware of what's happening. Oh, I'm caught in a movement in this direction, in that direction, it doesn't matter, because you are caught and you still have to pause and make the choice, right? And then that's another discussion that I know you are going to capture at some point about, you know, is the government making choices for you? And to what degree do you have that dialogue about who is making the choices? You know, are people making the choices to join the movement, to believe in something, or are other people making these choices for you? And I think the role of this artistic project is really to get people into that critical space where they start questioning, why am I doing this, right? No matter what they do, but why? Why?
Yeah, why? And what do they really want from it? Because ultimately, sometimes the end goal is not what they actually want. You know what I mean? Because what happens most of the time is at some point of an imposed structure, there is a big resistance, and it all collapses anyway, because there is always a tipping point, and very seldom these structures last for, you know, long time. They're short-lived. But at the same time, it is what they really want to achieve by, for example, in this case, when we're talking about female autonomy, infringing on that autonomy or limiting that autonomy, and what is the real reason for it, and why? And I suppose through theater you can have those conversations. Not that we will discover why, but we might just touch on some kind of reasons of why people behave like they behave, because we create those specific characters with that in mind, to show
to show
and
we are all products of our social environment. We are all products of our you know, the way we were we were socialized, the way our parents brought us up, the neighborhood we were born in, never mind the country and the cultures and the communism and all the post-communism and all this kind of stuff, right? So we are all products of this environment. So and I suppose that is also a part of, you know, having this awareness, this self-consciousness about, okay, I am part of this movement. I am part of this moment in history where the tide is changing, or the system is changing, the constitution is changing, right? And kind of being aware, is this what I really want or not, right? And that all you can do to people, to just give them that moment of awareness, and the theater in particular, as much as the video that you guys made in part 1, you know, gives this chance, give people a mirror, you know, gives people a very nice mirror into, oh, so this is how reality looks like. It's not just my echo chamber, you know, it's not just these people that are my friends. We all believe the same thing. We all grew up the same way, you know. No, there's another part, there's another whole out there. And yeah, and it can really, it really gets people to think and to feel different voices, you know, how voices really. So yeah, so I'm delighted that you are doing this piece. I think we really need to more listening, you know, and more tuning our voices. Yeah,
definitely more listening. And for me, when you look at those 5 character voices, not characters, not yet, they will become character at some stage when we're taking it further. But when you look at them, even from at the very beginning and at the end, when we have those 2 Polish girls, one is at her primary school, and the last one is an established rapper who really elbowed her way through difficult, you know, world. When you might think about the change they have, you know, it might be the same person. So all of them 5 can be also one person going through a life change, and just having different circumstances at a certain moment in time, so that their beliefs, their opinions were formed this way. But if they had different circumstances or possibilities, they definitely would have different sort of, you know, voice. So it's interesting when you look at that, what you said, Anca, nothing is set in stone. And the fact that our freedom or our liberty or our rights are not set in stone, which is visible in nowadays worlds. We don't have to go hundreds of years back. We can look 1 year back. We can look back at the past year, what has been happening, what has happened with the world. So if somebody believes that something is set in stone, is so mistaken. You know, we might be thinking with our heart about the situation in Poland and our sisters like out there. And that was my first also thinking about the project that, you know, you kind of need to raise that discussion, because it's not only about Polish women, it's about every woman in this world. It's about every person in this world, because, you know, because essentially we're all human. So we're not talking about female autonomy, we're talking about human autonomy, because you know,
and this fundamental human right of choice, right? That at the moment, some categories of people, whether they are men or women, whether they are politicians or the common man, some categories of people have more choice than others, right? And I think this is, you know, realizing those power dynamics and the their ability to make long-lasting influence with our explicit or tacit, you know, approval, right? Because the bystander in all this, it's probably a much worse crime, right? I mean, you know, if you just let it, you know, sit there and see what happens, I suppose then you are responsible for what happens, right? No matter what the result is. And this is why I really truly believe in the power of art and in the power of this piece that you're creating to get people out of their bystander. You know, the bystander is the guy that sits on the sides and doesn't choose either side. Somebody else has the responsibility, somebody else will do something, you know. And I think that you cannot remain cold when you look at your piece and when you hear the voices and when you hear the different concerns, the different ages, the different cultural contexts and so on, you know. And that resonance that you can raise in people, that emotional resonance, typically is what gets people into action. Yeah. So in collective action, social movements, they tell you that you have to make people angry. Make people, you know, passionate about something. Sometimes really angry about something, so that they can come out of their inertia, you know. The rest of the project, I think it's really, really exciting.
Thank you, Anca. And I just wanted to say as well that it's a very hard task for Justyna. It was in this particular case, because it wasn't a structured research. I mean, there was a structured research for it when we talked about which characters or which real, I suppose, existing characters we chose as examples or as kind of voices, you know, or, you know, no, some of them are fictional, some of them are real characters. And then there was a bit of research about their own kind of, I suppose, history and their own opinions and their own kind of actions as well as humans, and as people in, in their jobs, in their lives, and what influences they've left. And then really the process was that I was throwing questions at Justyna, who was in the character of that particular person. Now, it wasn't a particular person, it was, I suppose, an image of that person, let's call it, right? So somehow it is a very difficult process, because you think on the spot, and you really have to get into that person's mindset very quickly. And it's like, it is a method in drama, but it's actually quite one of the most difficult ones, really improvisational, hot chair method, where you really like, you have to think, you straight away, you have to be in the character, otherwise you're not gonna,
and this is an extremely, for anybody who's not an actor, right? So who has not even zero training about trying to play a character that is not you, right? I mean, again, in some of the work I do, like intercultural training, that is one of the ambition of those trainings, this ability to be able to take the perspective of the other person, especially when you disagree with them, right? And I really admire how this played out in the piece that you filmed together, because you really see Justyna basically having multiple personalities, and multiple voices, this kind of really bizarre thing. And yet I think there's a deeper message there, because we all are having multiple opinions, we all are multiple us, depending again on the circumstance, on the audience, on the strategic presentation of who you are in, who you are in public, who you are in private, in this context, in that context. So I think that, I don't know, that is also interesting, to see that one person can actually voice all those voices. And I can imagine that even for an actor, this is hard, but I can tell you for sure that for real people, normal people, regular people, non-artistic people, it is an incredibly hard skill to have. Because we are stuck usually in what we live in, and it's very hard to come out of our comfort zone to accept that other people really disagree with us, and the complete opposite thing. So that's a definite artistic merit there, to be able to do this so well.
Thank you so much, and I do hope that they'll be more into it, so we will be able to amaze maybe a little bit more and find the place exactly where we have it in a shape that we really want it to be alive, to become alive. So I suppose I want to thank you very much for all your input, and thank you so much to Aleksandra for trusting in me and agreeing to work with me on that, and Anca to be a supportive mentor here and willing to talk and expand our views and going into certain directions, so that we know that this is the right, direction. And we can only wish that part 2 will come out, and you will join us as well.
Yes, I can't wait, and thank you, and well done, and I can't wait to see it all. So well done, both of you. It's a pleasure for me too, so thank you.
Thanks very much, everybody.